The Cubs have one goal in 2025. Any guesses? To win.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to join us every day and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Today's episode is presented by our great partners at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. New segment later in the show, Overreaction Monday. We'll explain that when we get to it. We're very excited for that. Also, the importance of the bench in 2025 after a dismal performance by that unit last year. And we're going to start this Monday episode with Jed Hoyer in the final year of his contract. Multiple players in their final year or final 2 years of their deals. Cubs have one goal this year. That's to win. And as spring training games are now underway, major league roster additions likely over until the summer, and opening day only 3 weeks away. That's right, 3 weeks worth of shows before the first game. That's it. That goal to win gets clear and clear. And Sam, those implications plus the additions of Justin Turner and others who actually have won a lot in their career already, it does feel like winning will cure all of the Cubs' questions in 25.
First of
And it's
all,
great to see you also.
Yeah, I mean, I've only missed one show, but I've been gone. It feels a little longer than that. So it's great to be back, and nice time in Vegas, yada yada. But I'm gonna get to Vegas on our third segment. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Matt? Because you're right. It does feel win now-y or win now-ish. But then you look at after they went and got Tucker and their moves after and where they're at in the financial place. So you go to that kind of dark place and go, well, if it is win now, why didn't they do that? But I really like the way you finished that intro, because it really is winning will just cure everything. It's one of those where they need that medicine, because there are real questions around this Cubs team. And I would go as far as to say there's major questions around the league about this Cubs organization right now. What is their plan? I think it was Barstool Big Cat. I didn't listen to it. But I saw he came on Waddle and Sylvie, and the title of the YouTube was like, Barstool Big Cat doesn't know what the Cubs are. He doesn't know what they're trying to do. And I kind of resonate with that, because is this a team that is going for it? Are they just going for it in the Central? Like what is this team? But nobody's going to care if they start the year 27-15, or they get to They get to the trade deadline and they're 3.5 ahead of Milwaukee and Cincinnati, and then they go get a superstar level closer and they go for this thing, because winning does cure all. All of a sudden, just to do an NBA analogy, the Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler recently, and it was, why are they doing this? Is desperate, whatever. All of a sudden, they're 5-1, and nobody's talking about anything anymore because you're winning, and winning cures all. And this team needs to win, because Horner, only a couple years left here. Ian Happ, only a couple years left here. Seiya Suzuki, only a couple years left. Tyone, and not all those guys are going to get extended. That's not going that's not how it works. And of course, we know Tucker, the likelihood of him being here past this year is low. So it is. I'll go as to say, forget even Jed. It's a must win, a must playoffs make season, or things will get real rough around here.
Yeah, you mentioned all the guys that have been around. Then there's other dudes who've signed 2-year deals. Boyd, Kelly. Then it's the rental guys, Tucker, Presley, Birdie, other people as you just go up and down the roster. And Dansby Swanson had a quote over the weekend, Sam, where he said that. He said, winning cures everything. It always has, probably always will, something to that effect. And I started doing some digging on World Series champions on the roster.
Love it.
And I wanted to get,
Love it.
your perspective on this, because this is your thing. Championships.
It's all I care about. It's all
that's
I care
it.
about.
That's all you care about. And yes, there's other things on your list as a Cubs fan, but there's one thing at the top, and it's a clear top of your list.
Well, and if they win the World Series, we should get rings.
Wow. Well, that's a stretch. So Justin Turner is a World Series champion.
Yes.
2020 with the Dodgers.
2020, right?
2022 Astros, Kyle Tucker and Ryan Presley.
Mm-hmm.
World champions. Okay. Dansby Swanson is a world champion, 21 Braves.
21 Braves, yeah.
Ryan Brazier has 2 rings,
Last
18
year.
Red Sox and 24 Dodgers. So they have experience in the room. Like, all of a sudden, they have experience.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's multiple starters that are going to be in just their second year as a major league starting position player.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of pitching depth. The pitching that they have that's labeled depth is very inexperienced. Some haven't even pitched in the big leagues. But all of a sudden, they have dotted this roster with people that not only have experience, but they've won. And the Cubs have to win this year. I'm not sure if they have the most pressure to win, but they certainly have a spotlight on them for better or worse, whether it's the discussion about the roster, whether it's Hoyer, Counsell, Ricketts, the payroll. At the end of the day, yes, we want to sit back. We want to enjoy our favorite ball club. And in baseball, you and I have talked about it for years. It's a companion sport. There's a game almost every day. But let me tell you this right now.
Yeah.
This team needs to take advantage of their division. And by the end of this 162, this team has to win the NL Central. Has to.
100%. And when we say they have to win this year, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the division. As much as I love World Series, they got to win the division this year. When asking this team to win the World Series, that's a stretch. I think over on FanDuel, they're like plus 2,800 right now to do so, World Series wise. But for the Central, 100%. And you asked the question, do they have the most pressure to win? They definitely have the most pressure in the division. There's no other team. If the Reds don't win the Central, nobody's going to really talk about it. Brewers, we all know. Pirates, Cardinals have come out publicly and said that that's probably not something, they didn't say that directly, but they've talked about rebuilding and things like that. So it is all on the Cubs to do that. And I'll just close by saying this, I didn't think that this was the case. And I even did a solo show, maybe 2 months ago. About, hey, is it, and the title of it was, is it playoffs or bust for Jed Hoyer? And I was like, not so fast, because I thought there was a chance they could pivot and just go, hey, let's just worry about Matt Shaw, PCA, and Cade. But once they traded for Tucker with 1 year left on his deal, I believe that shifted the expectations. You cannot trade for a player of that, at that level, of that caliber, that's only going to be here for a year, and not send a message to your fans by saying, and Boog, people messaged me today that Boog was calling me out because he went on another urgency thing, making fun of people with urgency. You have to have urgency to win now when you trade for a guy like Kyle Tucker. And I think that shifted the expectation. And I think that, shifted how they look at the season. What does that mean? Urgency, this, urgency. It just means, hey guys, this isn't 83 wins. If that happens this year, there's going to be major changes.
Absolutely. And one area where they've improved a lot since last year in order to achieve that goal of winning the division is the bench. And we're going to break down a couple minor league signings the Cubs had over the weekend, get back into why they DFA'd a certain player last week, and a whole lot more on the importance of the bench this year, right after this.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay, folks. I was in Vegas this weekend, had the FanDuel odds next to me, live bets, parlays. I was doing it all, and it went pretty well. But I have to say, the Illinois Fighting Illini lost by 152 points to Duke. In all seriousness, it was a 43-point loss, the worst in program history. Duke closed as a 9-point favorite on FanDuel, and in Vegas, I was thoroughly embarrassed at that performance. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA.
We're back here on Locked On Cubs, and on Saturday, the Cubs announced they signed 2 outfielders to minor league deals with invites to spring training, Greg Allen and Travis Jankowski, who homered on opening day last year against Adbert Alzolay. I still don't understand why the Cubs DFA'd Alexander Canario, and Sam, I'd like to get your thoughts on that this segment. He's able to offer power in a reserve role. Cubs now have no players who can do that. So they cross out an outfielder from the depth chart, and then the next minute they sign 2 outfielders. Maybe Owen Casey's groin strain has something to do with that. Maybe not. Don't get me wrong. The bench is better. Carson Kelly, John Birdie, Justin Turner. This specific area is where the most upgrades actually happened over the offseason. If you just go simply from starters to bench, rotation, bullpen. But what does Craig Counsell, what does Jed Hoyer want to do with that last bench spot? And what's probably in order of operations, the 26th roster spot, because they don't really need more infield help with Birdie and Turner as roster locks. So then the next place is the outfield. So they get rid of an outfielder with power for an outfielder. Let's say it is Jankowski, Sam, who's solid defensively. Well, great. His job is going to be to back up 3 of the best outfielders in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really need a plus guy defensively out there. We know Kevin Alcantara's the de facto backup to PCA, even though he's going to be in Des Moines. So I do wonder how the bench is going to shake out. You know, Gage Workman, Vidal Brujan, Nicky Lopez, the other candidates right now. They had Allen and Jankowski. But I just thought, you know, I get he was out of options, but the Canario thing, I think they might have tipped their hand a little early on that.
It definitely felt early. It definitely felt early when I saw that. When was that? Was that late? That was late last. It was Thursday, right? I saw that. Yeah, it felt early. I don't. Sometimes there's like reasons behind this that make sense that we'll never know, that they won't like divulge to the public. Mm-hmm. But it felt early. I mean, they were talking. It was just a week or so ago. They were talking about maybe we get him a little bit of reps at first, and we just want to give him a chance to make the team. And then before there was really even a spring training game, he was seen out. The Jankowski thing is interesting because it's like PCA is going to play all the innings at center if he's healthy. And if he's not, Alcantara is going to come up and play a lot. So, you know, maybe he's just an insurance to an insurance policy there. Sure. I'm not sure on that. I don't know. I don't know why they did that with Canario. And I'm surprised. It's got to be pretty soon that we hear a resolution with that, right? Did somebody claim him and then
it'd be by Wednesday, yeah.
Okay, is there Wednesday a trade? Because I would imagine, I think the Sox the first claim, or whoever it is, probably probably put a claim on him. And then we will get that report and see what happens. I'm trying to think, I watched probably a little bit too much of Cubs baseball than I probably should have while I was on vacation. Here are and we're going to talk about that in the third segment, but, Workman, I think, has a really good chance. I think Counsell off the bench prioritizes defense over power. They did the wisdom thing last year, come in against lefties, hit a
It
bunch.
was a failure.
And it was a failure. So maybe now, they're
Okay.
just looking for defensive flexibility and things like that. If they're healthy, they should have plenty of pop in the lineup. With Saya being the DH and Tucker and Ian. But I do agree with you. It is they do feel like they're missing a little bit because Turner isn't really going to provide a lot of power. He's going to provide a lot more of a grind at bats and going the opposite way and situational hitting and things like that. So I was a little bit surprised, but these roster things are not my strength because they're so confusing. There's a lot more hidden things that go into it. And, we talk about it all the time, and it usually doesn't have a whole lot of impact throughout the year. I mean, I remember I was upset a couple years ago when they didn't give Edwin Rios enough ABs, and, I don't know what's going on there. So hopefully you trust the judgment. I remember people were upset with the Nelson Velasquez thing when they traded him for Kwas. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him, but I do trust that because it does feel like something they need, that they just feel real confident that he's not the guy. I'll still never get over the fact that he took that AB against I think it was Tanner Scott against the Marlins
made no sense in April.
And Bellinger didn't, and now he's off the team. That one sticks with me.
Yeah, no, I like your reasoning there. I think I'm following the trail that you're putting down, and it's got to be Counsell related. I would go as far as to say, Sam, that Craig Counsell had influence on all the bench rework.
I hope so.
He didn't play any reserves last year down the stretch. 9 guys played. That's like a high school thing.
I agree. I don't want to cut you off, but I do think he really liked Talkman, so that was interesting.
Yeah, but right, but so maybe Jed Hoyer stepped in on that one.
Yeah, because I think he even said so much so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, especially because maybe it was Talkman at the arb price. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Again,
that makes me sad because we liked him so much.
Yeah. We're gonna get people.
But he provided value.
I think they replaced him perfectly with Tucker in terms of what he brings to a team. It's the same thing. Good at bats, grind.
But he
guy.
was the only. And then with that being said, he was the only good bench player.
Right.
Think about the other guys that opened the season on the bench. So it was Talkman, great. Gomes, yikes. Mastroboni, and Garrett Cooper. I mean, what are we doing here? Now they got Carson Kelly, John Birdie, and Justin Turner, and then there's going to be a strong battle for the last spot. Counsell had major influence on that. I don't know if we'll ever get reporting on that, but I would go as far as to say he signed John Birdie. He signed Carson Kelly. He signed Justin Turner.
Well, also, we almost kind of just answered our own question there with, because Cooper was a part of the team, and I didn't think he was bad at all last year, to be honest with the Cubs. But then
he was only around for what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, the Cubs realized that Wisdom came back. They liked that better and moved on from. They don't need 2 of those guys, and now they have that guy in Turner. So that's probably what it was. We don't need 2. Okay. We don't need 2 lefty only. A guy that's going to face lefty only pitchers off the bench. So this is what it is, and let's move on. But it did feel a little bit early.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of these dudes who is going to compete for that 26 spot, Gage Workman. He's one of the subjects of our Overreaction Monday, brand new segment here on the show. We get to it next. All right, Overreaction Monday. I think this might be something we do. Could it be a recurring third segment till October 1st, Sam?
I love it.
I think so.
Yeah, they do this on
Football Mondays, right?
I think they do it on McAfee. Is that what it is?
I think it's Rich Eisen, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I'll have to check after we record here.
Yeah.
But I really have two buckets, especially after 4 spring training games. When we sit here a week from today, there'll be about 10 or 11 games in, maybe actually 12 if they have a full week coming up. Or no, it'd be 11. Um, Math skills. And so encouraged and concerned. I'm definitely encouraged by Michael Bush uh, so far. He's also put on a few lbs of muscle. That's always nice to see. Kevin Alcantara's 5 for 8, PCA's 4 for 6, and Gage Workman, Rule 5 draft. The Cubs have to keep him on the 26 man by opening day. Otherwise, he has to be offered back to Detroit. He's 3 for 7 with 4 ribbies, and he's played third. He's played right. So those are the guys I'm encouraged by. Who are you encouraged by? Because then there's a couple of pitchers that, wow, they might be cut very soon.
Well, can I do my overreaction?
Yes.
Well, let me set the scene. So it was the first inning of the first spring game on Thursday.
Oh, here we go.
And Anthony and I were playing some cards, and we shifted over to a little bar. You don't have Instagram. I posted this on Instagram. I don't know why I didn't post it on Twitter. I posted other stuff on Twitter, but you would have been going crazy because Bush hits a little blue ray. I'm screaming, get down, ball, get down.
Oh,
gosh. And then Alcantara comes up, and it was my most clean transition. It was like it was mid-June, and you and I were sitting at a local restaurant, and I go, and there's a base hit. And it was just such a beautiful swing to right field. I started to get Derek Lee vibes, just that tall, lengthy, great opposite field swing. And then Gage Workman, his 3-run homer that he hit, or was it a 3-run homer Thursday afternoon? I think it was. I mean, that was real power from him. He looked real smooth over third. I didn't get a chance to see him play right. So my overreactions would be a weekend in, Kevin Alcantara. I'm glad he's still on this baseball team.
Yes.
And Gage Workman might be the odds-on favorite to be that 26 man, because if he could play, because think about what the expectations that we've had at third base over the last couple years. The fact that Madrigal's just okay defensively was good enough. And then we give Morel a chance. And now we got Matt Shaw. But if this young man Workman is going to be, showcasing power and tools like that, and that smooth defense, that defense that just passes the eye test right away, you could just tell he can pick it over there. Counsell likes that. So I was really excited about those two fellas.
Absolutely. And Counsell went on record a little bit. I think it was Friday or Saturday talking about Gage Workman. So that was great. One bit of news that I did mention briefly earlier about Owen Casey, Sam, groin strain, it is grade 1, so it's not too bad. But on the other side of the coin, you have his counterpart, Kevin Alcantara, who's lighting up the score sheet right now. And the guy who lit it up on Sunday is Pete Crow Armstrong. He's going oppo. He's pulling the baseball. He's going hard 90s. I mean, it's exciting to see it. This is
I look at my face.
This is the segment. This is the bid. But PCA might be an all-star this year. I mean, what he did this weekend was just so encouraging, and it just makes you feel good about a position group that's already loaded. You throw Alcantara in there, it's awesome.
Bid aside, you cannot put a ceiling on him. Like he could do anything. He really could.
He could do anything well on a baseball field, right?
No, and it's
including home runs.
Anything you say about PCA, to me, is not an overreaction, because he could look. He's got to work on his floor and work on the strikeouts and whatever, and the pitch recognition. He's young, but his tools, and I've said this before on this show. And sorry, this is going to go against the, this doesn't matter. To a lot of people, this doesn't count or matter in baseball. His attitude, his swagger, his confidence. His confidence. he oozes star level qualities. And this is not part of the bit. I'm going off script.
Right.
When I watch that young man play, I get really, really intrigued about what he could do for this baseball team. Let's talk about some of the pitching stuff, because I didn't see as much as you did. So,
Well, I was discouraged, especially by two relief pitchers this weekend, Sam, Eli Morgan and Caleb Thielbar. Uh, they both allowed home runs. Thielbar struck out the two lefties he faced, but gave up a home run to a White Sox player who may as well open the year at Double A Birmingham for the south side of town. Caleb Thielbar just absolutely allowed a missile of a home run to a brother for the Sox. And, he's old, Thielbar, right? New Cub. He's the only lefty right now projected on the roster. I hope Luke Little gets better quick. But beyond that, the Cubs literally have no major league lefties.
Yep.
And so you want Thielbar to be good. Is he someone that's only going to be effective against lefties? Okay, I guess. But there's just not many pockets this day and age with how managers present lineups where that's really a reality. So definitely keeping a close eye on him. Eli Morgan allowed a home run to a Sox minor leaguer. Again, this would be an overreaction, but he, you wonder, is he a lock for the opening day roster? And, at this time of year, Council even pointed out the other day, all the hybrid or tweener guys like a Colin Ray, who I'm about to get to, they're all being stretched out as starters right now.
Mm-hmm.
The time to shorten up as a reliever isn't until August, September, October. Cade Hortons, Jordan Wicks, Assad, Ray, and then even Brad Keller is being stretched out as a starter. That was some news over the weekend.
We'll talk about him later.
Colin Ray, he didn't pitch well Sunday, and so you do wonder, how is he going to adjust to whatever role he ends up in?
Also, I'll do my overreaction. I've told you guys this. I learned 2 years ago, Fulmer didn't have a great spring, started the year rough. Neris didn't have a great spring, started the year rough. Just keeping an eye. Ryan Presley didn't see it, to be fair.
Right, you're right. Presley too.
2/3 of an innings, 2 hits, 1 earn. And then Palencia gave up 2 runs today, also at a wild pitch. He's one of those guys where it's just, when he's good, you go, my goodness gracious, is that young man talented? But it's just not consistent enough. So, yeah, I look, this weekend really supported what we thought, that there's a lot to watch this spring training for this team. There's a lot of competition. You're right about Thielbar. He's important because if Little isn't ready, I'm tired of the Cubs with these limited lefty options. Maybe Hughes has a chance.
Oh, that's right. Hughes, they have. Yeah.
If they, because they need to do better with that. They haven't succeeded in that realm. But I'm watching these pitchers every outing, probably closer than I should. But, the last couple of years, I said, it's Hector Neris, a veteran. He'll get it right, and he'll start the year fine. Oof.
Yeah, especially the bullpen is something to keep tabs on. We will. The Cubs only have one off day in spring training. It's next Wednesday. They play every day. So there's going to be game action to react to every single episode. Also, these next 3 weeks before opening day, I can't believe it's that close. We will preview some returning position players, also get a Craig Counsell episode in there, and a whole lot more. All right, anything else here?
No, that was really fun. I'm back, man. Like this weekend, when I left before my trip, it was still kind of, hey, a little this, off season. Now I'm back and I'm looking at Twitter. I'm talking to you, and it feels like we're all back into baseball, and it's exciting.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode. We're here 5 days a week talking about all things Cubs. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube as we make the push to 13,000 subscribers. And I really do believe we could get to that before March 18th. And we're streaming worldwide on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, and more. For Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy, and you are now Locked On Cubs.
Go Cubs.